Hello, welcome back you guys. Today I'm going to be showing you how to decorate your space while being pretty but also practical. We're going to be adding some everyday decor and some spring touches to my kitchen and my dining room today. I say everyday decor because most of the stuff on my countertops are practical pieces that can be used year-round. I'll show you how I add some pops of spring into my kitchen while still keeping out those items that I use on a daily basis. I have so many fun ideas and I can't wait to share them with you, so let's get into the pretty and practical decorating. So here is the current state of my kitchen. All of the items that are still on the countertops are pieces that I'm always reaching for and that I want to remain easily accessible in the kitchen. Like always, I'm going to start by wiping down the counters so we can have a clean slate to start decorating. Let's work on this little corner here. I've always struggled with what I want to fill this space with, but I finally found a style that I love. I'm adding this antique wooden stool that is definitely a staple in most of my decorating videos, and I'm going to use him as an anchor to hold up some books. I'm also adding this floral printed berry bowl and placing it on top of the stool, and next to it I'm placing this cute little olive oil canister. But I actually already have an olive oil dispenser, so I'm just putting some baby's breath in the top and I'm just using this as a vase. I'm going to use this stool as a bookend to hold up some books. Ideally, I'd put cookbooks in here, but I didn't have any, so these coffee table books will work for now. And then on the other side of the books, I'm also placing this marble bookend. This will help the height variation throughout this corner and also make the stack of books feel more complete and intentional. Next, we're going to move on to this little nook next to the stove. This little crock you see here is actually a planter that I just utilized as storage for my spoons. I love to keep my wooden utensils here so I can have easy access to them while I'm cooking. I also added this tiny little cutting board in there, and this is just great for having on hand when you need to cut something small and quick. I also love the leather accent on the handle. It's a perfect way to add a tiny touch of textiles and contrast. I'm adding a little flower arrangement next to my olive oil dispenser, and I think this group of three looks really nice together and balances out the countertop nicely. Now let's move on to the other side of the stove. This side has always been a little tricky to me because we have this huge coffee machine that is just not my favorite to look at, and I always have the hardest time trying to find out what to put next to it. So I'm placing this rectangle cement-like tray and I'm placing this mini lamp on it. I love using lamps in kitchens to cozy the space up and to add some warmth. I'm also placing a little tree plant that I already had on hand and this little canister that would be great for holding sugar or coffee creamers. I'm always using my salt and pepper pinch pots when I'm cooking, so I know I want to keep those at hand, but it was feeling a little cluttered with all this counter space covered, so I decided to store away my mortar and pestle for now because I only use it every once in a while anyways, and that pretty much completes the back wall of this kitchen. I love how there's a good mix of pretty and practical decor here, and everything fills out the space nicely, but there's still some gaps in the countertop showing, so it doesn't feel too overwhelming or cluttered. I wanted to mention I've had this basket of flowers up on my pantry door for a while now, and I just think it's perfect for spring and it's just an easy way to make a big impact in your kitchen. Another great way to cozy up a kitchen is to add more fabric. I'm adding some blue striped rugs to the front of my sink as well as in the front of my sliding door. These help to make the kitchen feel less cold and more comfy. It also helps to keep dirt from tracking in the kitchen. I also love to add kitchen towels to my stove to incorporate even more linens, and because I just use it every day, so it's very practical too. Now let's do Alexa's little corner. So we use her all the time. Every day we're always jamming and listening to music, so she needs to have a home, and this is it. I'm gonna dress her up by adding this little vase with a little olive stem in it, and I actually ended up putting these fresh cuties on this little cake stand. My kids are always reaching for these, so having them out on the counter is gonna be great for that, and it's a perfect way to add a little pop of color for spring. We're gonna move on to the island now. So of course, let's wipe it off real quick. I had this vase out on my ottoman in my living room, but that just wasn't realistic to leave it there with my 2 toddlers running around, so we're gonna put it over here on the island. I'm placing some dogwood stems that I found at Walmart, and I'm spreading them out so they have more movement to them, and they cast an airy look. I love these stems because the stem part is brown and not green, and I think that adds a little rustic element to them and gives them more character. It also makes them seem a little bit more realistic. I also found this scalloped planter at Walmart, and I love the scalloped edging on this. I think it gives it much more interest and is a perfect spring touch. I'm actually going to use this as a bowl to hold some more fruit. We eat a lot of fruit in our family, so we might as well make it cute and put it on display. I hung this cute little hanging planter on my little pig rail on my island to add some greenery to the bottom half of the room and to even it out a little bit more. I always have this woven pot holder hanging on here too. We're of course always using this in the kitchen, and it's so handy to always have it nearby. And I also put this extra dish brush on top of it, and just in case we need it, we can use it, but until we do, it looks really cute hanging there, especially with the wooden handle. Now we have to replace this picture in this frame because this is just way too wintry for my taste right now. I got this gold frame from Hobby Lobby years ago, and I painted it to give it a more antique look to it. I'm always switching out the picture in this guy throughout the different seasons. I get my vintage looking prints off of Etsy for super cheap, and then I just print it out as a poster at my local drugstore, cut it to fit the frame, and that's it. I literally just got brand new artwork for my wall for like 15 bucks. I always recommend to leave the other pictures that you're not using in the back of the frame just so it's easy to replace for each season and so they can all be in the same place. Now let's add some spring touches to this dining room. I always like to keep this space simple because we're always eating at the end of the table, so I don't want a whole big tablescape for everyday use. I'm gonna place a marble cutting board on the table, and I'm just gonna use it as a base for our little arrangement. I'm taking this planter that I got from Walmart for a super affordable price, and I just filled it with some water, and I'm gonna make a little centerpiece with some fresh florals. I've seen so many designers using large amounts of stems to make a big statement, and I personally love the look of that. I saw Brenda from Cozyaholic here on YouTube recreate a design by Amber Interiors using a super large arrangement, and I was totally inspired by her. Brenda used baby's breath stems, and I absolutely loved the way it looked and the simplicity of the stems. And because there were so many stems and it was so large, it still made such a big impact. I wanted to recreate that for my own home, and since we always have baby's breath in stock here in Colorado, it worked out great. I'm using about 4 different flower bunches, and I cut each stem to a different size to give the bunch more variety by having different heights. And that about wraps up today's video. If you are still watching, you are the best. Thank you so much. I hope this video gave you guys some inspiration on how you can decorate with pretty and practical pieces at the same time. So hopefully this gave you some spring inspiration as well, and I would totally appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. We'll see you in a few days in a new one. Bye guys.